Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through some of that noise around personal growth. We're diving into something called the 1% rule. It's a bit different from all that advice about, needing massive motivation or setting these huge, overwhelming goals. We think this offers a genuinely different path.
Exactly. Our mission here really is to unpack how these seemingly tiny everyday actions, they don't just add up. They actually multiply into really significant long-term results. Think of it like a shortcut, maybe. A shortcut to understanding how powerful incremental progress truly is. It's kind of surprising.
Right, and the core idea is super simple. What if you just aim to get 1% better each day? Just 1%. It sounds tiny, doesn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
Negligible. So you might be wondering, okay, what can 1% better really amount to over a whole year?
Ugh. And this is where the math gets really interesting. It's where our sources kind of deliver that aha moment. Because getting 1% better every single day for a year, it doesn't just make you say 37% better. No, it makes you about 37 times better. Times, not percent. That's a huge, huge difference from where you started. It's exponential.
Wow. 37 times better from just a tiny 1% daily tweak. Okay, so it's clearly not simple addition then, is it? How does that exponential thing actually work? Can you break that down?
Yeah, it's all about compounding, like interest in a savings account, right?
Yeah.
Each day, that 1% improvement, it isn't just added to who you were originally. It's added to the slightly better version of you from yesterday. So day two's 1% builds on day one's gain. Day three builds on day two's, you see? It snowballs. It builds momentum that just accelerates.
That makes a lot more sense. And it really helps get past that big mental block, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The one where we feel like, oh, I have to change everything right now to see any real difference.
Absolutely. That all or nothing thinking. It's a major hurdle. Our sources really point this out. We aim for this massive, perfect overhaul. We get totally overwhelmed. And then, well, we do nothing. The 1% rule just kind of sidesteps all that. It makes the steps so small, so achievable, it almost feels silly not to do it. Takes the pressure right off. No need for grand gestures or willpower reserves.
Okay, but let's flip that coin for a second. What happens if you slide backwards? If you get 1% worse each day? Because that inverse effect must be just as powerful, right? Sort of a cautionary tale.
Oh, it absolutely is. The math works the other way, too. If you get 1% worse daily for a year, you don't just slip a bit. You essentially wipe yourself out. You end up near zero because you're multiplying by 0.99 every day. That decline, also exponential. It really highlights how crucial consistent positive action is, even tiny actions, and how small negative habits can derail you significantly over time.
So the real power isn't in the size of that single action, but purely in the consistency, day after day. How do the sources suggest we actually, find and do these tiny 1% things in real life?
They emphasize making it almost comically small,
Right.
ridiculously easy. The idea is to make the action so easy you literally can't say no. So instead of, say, write a book, maybe it's just write one sentence today. Or not run a marathon, but just put on your running shoes. Maybe walk for 5 minutes. You're building the habit first, the identity, not focusing on the giant outcome.
Right, that totally shifts the focus away from the scary finish line and just onto the very next tiny step. So for you listening, think about this. Our sources suggest something as simple as maybe drinking one extra glass of water today, or reading just one page of that book that's been sitting there. Maybe it's saying one kind thing to yourself, or spending 5 minutes tidying one tiny corner of your workspace.
It's all about lowering the resistance. If you aim for a 30-minute meditation and miss it, you feel like a failure.
Right.
But if your 1% goal is just sit for 60 seconds, focus on one breath, it's almost impossible not to do that. And that feeling, that little win, that consistent success, that's what fuels the habit, reinforces it, and lets the compounding really take off.
So the big takeaway, the essence of this deep dive into the 1% rule seems really clear. Massive change doesn't come from massive occasional efforts. It comes from tiny, almost invisible habits.
Yeah.
Done consistently, day in, day out. You let the momentum do the heavy lifting for you.
And what's really great about this, what makes it so potent, is just how accessible it is. For you, listening right now, it takes that huge, scary idea of self-improvement and makes it feel, well, achievable, doable. Not some overwhelming mountain you have to conquer all at once. You don't need to turn your life upside down tomorrow. Just find that one, sustainable 1%.
Yeah. So if you've been waiting, for that perfect moment or for some grand wave of motivation to hit you, this is your sign. Stop waiting. Start small. Big, just one tiny thing today.
Yeah.
1% step. Because honestly, every big win, every major transformation you want, it really does begin with one small, consistent step.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on. If these small, daily, consistent changes can create such dramatic personal growth, where else? Where else in your life? Maybe think about your work, your skills, your relationships, maybe learning something new. Where else could applying this 1% mindset unlock some unexpected exponential benefits? Benefits you haven't even really considered yet. The possibilities, just like the growth, they compound pretty quickly.